In other one words, after hearts of each other hugging Eldad and Medad, or the two-horned ram with two anthroposes, me and my Ali Akhyahi brother, where Al-Fatihat or Fatah of Surah 1, or basically Fath Mubin of Surah number 48, or Openat, or Al-Khidr, or Christ and Moses, as well as Imam Mahdi, he spirit of Muhammad, came into the Neskuric festival, and then we hugged each other, and then we started singing the Al-Fatiha right in the middle of the Kundalini pit of cursed Canaanites in Babel borehole, and our platform programs were rebooted and upgraded by primordial driver or the legacy definition. Then we were readily and deterministically and night of decree and free will powerfully, again the free will or the willpower is called azm or taqdir or maqdur or humata in Avestan language, or in Arabic humata or maqdur or taqdir or azm. Then we were readily and deterministically and night of decree and free willpower. Again, another name of decree or free willpower, it is one thing, and it is qadar or qudrat, or in other words, al-qadr or the ketr, or qadr or qitr, or qutrat, which means crowned with the crown of the Christian crown of self-determination, and al-qadr qadr qutratfully. That's the night of the metamorphosis or transfiguration. Fully, then we deterministically or free will powerfully or al-qadr qadr qutratfully did what? Atad, went for becoming, or ethos or eta'at or obeyed, or ta'at, eta'at or ata, to adapt. Here it is the word of the adapt, the closest to adapting the ethic or the ethos, or ata, with a little bit of different type of spelling, but basically coming from the same root word of coming into being, or adapted, or come to obey, or flute fruit, or brought to yield, give, play, follow, agree, accept, obey, or become. آتیتا أن لو کرها قالتا آتینا طائعین. And so that is of becoming, of ataya or ataina of Hebrew 857, come into being, and we said right on, we're coming into becoming the two-horned ram, or basically we ethosed, or we accepted, or bridled. Again, we have the rider on the horse, we have the bridle or the leash, and then we have the pathos, or the logos, ethos, and then pathos, or fadaina. and then bridled and change. إن الله لا يغير ما بقوم حتى يغيروا ما بأنفسهم. Indeed, Allah will not change what is for a tribe until they change what is in themselves. And so once you change in the basically in the microcosm of your willpower, then God will bring the macrocosmic change into you and your tribe. In the same way here, we read in Surah 41 verse 11 that we will look at it in detail. And God said to the heaven and earth to come into being, or come into being, or ata, or ata, and then the heaven and the earth, or the love realm and the hate realm, answered back, ataya. And so here God is Allah is telling to the heaven, or to ataya, come into, or brought to yield, brought to accept and yield and obey, or give or agree. And then tau'an, ataya, tau'an, ata, eta'at. Tau'an is the root word of the eta'at, or ethos. And then come into obedience. God said to, and then the heaven and the earth, or the love and the hate whole of Harbingers said, and God said to them, come, brought, adapt into acceptance and ethicing, or ethosing, and then whether you like it, whether you ethos or you don't ethos, whether you like it or you don't like it, come into what you are predestined to be. And then qalata, they said, atayna, and then the heaven and earth answered back to the God of Genesis 1:1 that atayna, we come, or we are brought, we are coming into being with ta'in, with theos, with ethos. And so from there, the with ethos, with adaptation, with acceptance, with yielding, we come willingly, not with force or compulsion. We come in. And so from there, God basically categorized the free will into love, and straight love, and LGBT love, into genuine obedience of the beauty and the love, that sometimes that love tells you that if you see the plague, then you have to quarantine the cursed and damaged sodomites, so that their plague doesn't spread in the civilization and get everybody inflicted with their LGBT leprosy. Whether you stone them, or you detain them, or you make sure that they don't make the global American Chinese empire of the Barack Hussein Obama. And that is basically part of even the love, that is basically hating the ugliness. And then that is the heaven. And then the other side is that God said to the hell to become the hate hole of grudging, of the jealousy of Ezekiel 8 verse 3, that provoked the jealousy of the Samael, and then the hell of the Harbingers, or Hindus and Buddhist baboons, became basically what they are brought to be, and they are brought to be the Gentile goyim pagans that are not upgraded into understanding of the language. Or in other words, after the primordial pledge and the Christian covenant with Allah, we fall, and then after that Ataya Taw'an, and God said, Ataya, come into two groups, come into ethosing, into ethosing, or accepting the ethics of what of accepting and yielding or submission, or with dislike. And then they said that we're gonna become what we are going to be, and we're gonna like it. And so whether a yogi likes what the yogi is, that's why it says that we came into ta'ain or ethosing. We are, and whether the yogis are liking what they are doing, and at the same time the Muslims are doing what they are loving to do. And so they started worshipping the beauty and going into the poetry, the heavenly ones, and then living in a dream world of the fabulous fantasy, childlike fantasy, because you don't enter the kingdom of heaven unless you are a child. And the other class become bunch of sober adults with tremendous amount of smartness and mindfulness. And so both groups like what they are doing, whether it is making UN and meanwhile going and butchering everybody, as this class hatefully, because they say that the poetry is not gonna feed your stomach, and the love and the beauty. What we need is the formulas, is the engineering degrees, is the science that can get us to make the medicine and then go for that kind of progress. The other class of the knowledge comes and says that no, the ultimate knowledge is how you exalt Allah. The knowledge is how you make love with God. This class comes and says that, all right, our love is nothing beyond the penis and the vagina of the Shiva Lingam and the vagina of the Isis or the vagina of a sex partner. This class says that no, there is a love that is beyond the penis and vagina style, and that is the love to God. And that from here we have the ethics of the Gentiles and then the pagans, and then from at the heavenly side we have the ethosing of the ethics of the believers. And the ethics of the believers are again against abomination, using of the abomination like Shakti Shikut shock, psychic shock, that Gentiles love to receive, and the more shock you are receiving, the higher is your ontological ranking. You become a shaman, you become a guru, you become a Buddhist monk, and then you become a go all the way to reach to the Bodhisattva or a raised digit of the thoughtful pharaoh, and then after that you reach to become the elected president of the global banking system and the usury system and of the military industrial complex of the planet apes, whose name is Siddhartha, or sodomite scumbag that is known as Dadichi, or President Barack Hussein Obama, or the dirty Dajjal. And then on the other class, it is all about again ethosing and ethicing and accepting and yielding, but with free will power, to poetry, to fantasy, and to pure powerless love. that in which you are not getting any shikut shakti shock, you're not receiving any extra heat, or you're not receiving any har, as we read in Surah 16 verse 81, or you're not receiving extra mental power in order egotistically, in order to get your ego to survive in the jungle and of the chaos, where the survival of the fittest requires to receive higher and more forceful levels of the mind power that get you to make B2 bombers or the politics, whatever. And so again, heaven and earth, they both answer to Allah that we're gonna become willingly, we're gonna qalata atayna ta'aina, and they qala or kala, or they called back to God, or answered back to God and said what? Ethos, or we accept, we agree, we yield with the leash, or basically the bridle, we atayna, we come into becoming bridled, or ta'ain. Ta'e is theos, or ethos, after ethos. It is eta'at. And so from the root word of etoat, or etoas, etoas. And so they said that we're gonna become, and from this is how God allocated the free will to be used in these two contexts of rebellion against God, and sticking to the and dharmaing to the earth, and dharmaing to numbers and measurement, as René Descartes of the Buddhist baboons of the Pharaoh was told by a devil in his mushroom dream, or DMT dream, that conquest of nature is going to happen through numbers and measurement. And that's the type of the LGBT love, is a love that you can't add numbers and measurement to, because it is a mental artifact. And at the other side, we go into the real love of surrendering and then accepting what the beauty has found it to be beautiful, and then going with that, and letting go of your or my retard choices. And so that is how the obedience and the agree and adaptation, or or ethical ethosing was compartmentalized. And so in other words, and so right after we received the opening with Brother Ali, we deterministically, with full determination over there, and with more than joy, again we were crying, we were shaking, we were so happy of incensing and prostrating and thanking God with full qatar, or qatar, with full power, free will power, or qadrat, with the full crown power that we had, with it ata of becoming, or ata'at, or the acceptance, and adapted, or we became fully bridled and changed toward word way the pain caused, qazad, qatsad, predestination or prescription, or author written love story, or psalm song on the iron music sheets. And so This is the root word of, and so here I'm basically completely making for the in this ceremony, completely making it known what is the free will and how the higher free will of creator is working upon our free wills. And so at one part we have the qadr or the power or the free will power, and at the other side we have the qaza. We call this one qadar, this one is qaza. And qaza, what we call it qazahunna, this qaza in Arabic or in qatsat in Hebrew, or cause, the root word of the word of cause in English is coming from qaza in Arabic, or qatsat in Hebrew, which means cut or the end or the cause. And so when we say that something is a cause of something else, in fact we are cutting the object and then saying that it is it is subjected by this cause, and that is the cutting, or basically causing, and then saying this one is the cause of this one. And so that is what we call it as the pen caused, or qazat, or qatsat, or qaziyat in French, Latin, Persian, as well as the English, Hebrew. And we have these in Surah 41 verse 11 and Surah 41 verse 12. And we will look at these two super important one verses later on. Basically, in 4 verses, the entire Genesis 1 of Surah 41, verse 9, 10, 11, and 12. In 4 verses, the entire 31 verses of Genesis 1 are in a dense pill is given to you in Surah 41. The details of the creation, or the details of the distribution of the free will in the creation. And so again, the heaven and earth, and so then we readily and deterministically, or free will powerfully, or qadar fully, that's the qadar, means the free will power. And again we have the God's free will power, and then we have the qatsat, predestination, cause, prescription of God. Amanah ya Allah, that's the qaza of Allah, or we call it the cause that Allah has placed. And that cause is according to arada rata, rata in Sanskrit, or arada in Arabic, or reto or rata in Greek, as well as like writing. This is the writing, or the reto, or will of God, or the that is basically putting the limits on something, or the cutting, ending cuts. Like for instance, when something is expired, we say that it is qazad, or it is caused, and that expiration is basically, and again, cause is the number one. The photophobic Buddhist bats of the black hole are basically extremely afraid of qatsat, or qatsat, or qaza, or cause, because when you have a cause, once you cut something, in this case I'm talking about the Christ or the Messiah, that is the cut or binat, or the discernment, or the distinguishing, or the separating. Bina is mentioned like we read in Genesis 1 again and again, that God separated the heaven and earth, or divided the waters. That division is causing, or katsaying, and then that is how the cause is coming into heaven and earth simultaneously. And that cause is the number one nightmare of the nirvanic monsters, that all that they are and all that their aspirations are is to dharma into alpha to omega realm of the hellhole, or the letter lands, the land or the landscape of the sacred geometries, or the sacred sounds, or the sacred numbers, and the sacred measurement. But the realm of the protos to eschatos, or eschaton, or from the far up protoni up to the eschatosi realm of the meaning, and then the language, and then the bina, and then the discernment, is the realm that is causing the realm of the alpha to omega, and that realm is the realm that is governing the realm of the letters. It can go and pick up bunch of letters and cause those letters to become something that it is imbuing it with meaning. That is how, and how it is being imbued, we will look at it in Surah 41 verse 9 and 10. Verse 10 is how it is imbued. That imbuing of the sacred sounds and the sacred geometries, that again, they are not sacred. This is what these orangutans are talking about, that so-called sober scientists of the Dracula. What they call as the sacred sounds and the sacred geometries are nothing, or the sacred letters. We say that the letter A, E, O, A, U, A, I, O, A, O, A, B, C, D, E, F, G. These are not, the consonants are not sacred. You retard consciousness that is attaining and becoming that retard choice of a garbage, transhumanized, transgenderized ethics. The letters are rubbish. What is important is how you imbue them and how you fuse them together to make a word, and that in order to get them to melt into each other and become welded into each other in order to form a word, what you need is blessing, what you need is bliss, what you need is love, what you need is the realm of the beauty or the excitement, and that is what we are going to read later on in Surah 41 verse 10, that the baruka or the barakna or the barakaing blessing of God is coming into that being, or the holiness comes, so that these jumbled, segregated letters can become something joined together that has an meaning, that is above, that is not existing. It only exists in the realm of the poetry and in the realm of the meaning, and again, that is what is behind the Christ cause of the letterland. Or in other words, we can look at the Christ cause as a typewriting machine that Allah is writing with it, and then that is how this typewriting machine brings the letters together and then write and add the blessing of Villah, or the qadar of the Allah here, that Allah said to them, come to be, and then they came to become. And again, that is how the cause is, and that cause is the number one nightmare of the Advaita school of Hinduism, that says that non-duality can be removed once you take the cause out and that's the creator. So let's become the creator, and let me become the creator, and then I'm going to tell you that this is not a spoon, it is me. That is not my mother, it is me. If I die, that mother dies in my mind. Or that is not the father, it is all relative to me, and I am the God, or the Atman, or the Vayu air is equal to the Brahman, or the dark matter is equal to dark energy once you get them to fuse together. And then now I am dharmaing to dirt. Now go to hell. And so author written love story or psalm song is another way of looking at the predestination or prescription. And so here I'm showing you how the free will of two individuals lovingly, not forcefully, but lovingly, free will, powerfully, consciously, we are choosing to we are coming to obey to the predestination or the cause or the cutting ends of what God has made us to be, that cut. And again, this cut that is basically coming from qaza or katza or gaza or a cause is basically the end of the diameter of a kutrat, or the pot, or a chapiter, or a crown, or keter, or qudur, qadar, which means bowl. And the aperture and the capacity of you is the amount of the free will or the free will power or that you can accept. And that cut or the determination of the diameter of the willpower of a palm pot is what is being caused by the creator. And that cause is basically another way of saying that author written or erato spoken, God spoken, God written, right in English, arta, rata in Sanskrit, or arada, arad, arad. That comes to English becomes T, D becomes T, arad or arat. God ata arada, or author villat, or author written, arada rator, or erato in Greek. Spoken, God spoken, written love story, or the psalm song on what? On the iron music sheets of the Zebur, Zebra, Zabar, Zubara. And these are the iron sheets that I'm going to talk about it in detail in 1896. And again, these are the iron sheets of the book of life that in them, or the mother book, that in them zabar means like the zebra in English, like the zebra strips or the sheets or something that is written. And these are the predestination written, and these zobar are made from hadid or iron. And these again, the pages of the book of life, they are from the iron, or as we read They are the what you are as a Christian or a Muslim you are wrapping around your heart. And as we read in book of Revelation chapter 3 verse 18, they are the garments they are the gold garments of the faith, or the gold that is purified, or katarat, or taqtird, purified, alchemized in the fire of God. And so all that, every single earthquake, every single wind that blows, even the falling of a leaf and the dynamic that it gets, or the so-called, even how the letters are being scattered in the realm of the Alpha to Omega, they are all come and sit in these iron music sheets. And then again, these music sheets, then they become two, they decide what is outside of these music sheets, what is going to be projected by them. And so that is how the predestination or author written music sheets are written. This is another way of saying kitab mastur nun wal qalam wa ma yastarun of Surah 68, that Allah in noon, or the nar, or the fire, and then the pen, and then the pen writes on the solar tablet or on the different levels of the music sheets. Once all of these music sheets are written, then it reaches to the solar tablet, and then in a golden sapphire emanation, the Christ or the moon emanates it out. And all of these music sheets, or the iron sheets, are basically the leaves of the tree of life, that they all do fanning or opening or fluting, and that is how they're after their propelling rotary propelling, they get the mumbuk to become hovered, and that fanning gets it to hover upon the letterland, or the type machine starts working with the letters. And as for the letters, they are nothing. They are all dead. But again, the orangutans that love kind of love that you can weight it, or a love that can be measured by the intensity of the neural fires. I'm talking about the, for instance, sexual orgasm of two lesbians together, or two male guys together, or even opposite gender. All of those can be measured as the pulsations of the brain wave, and that is the amount of the Hindu love that you can measure it on a brain wave tape. But as for the other love, it is not in the radar of a mind. That is only something that if a Muslim that is praying Allah in Salah or Salah of the book of Psalms 74 times repeated, Salah or the Salah, or the lifting or releasing or the souling out, can understand what is that other love that is not in the baz, and also is not in the root chakra, but is somewhere else, and that is the toroidal field that is separated from that. And so that is honey how that the two fatally fetus fadad sacrifices, or the Christian cross carriers of Amir and Aliyah Akhiyahi, brother of mine, of the coming future of Isaiah 19 in 2019, this year that I am broadcasting it to you, underwent the Allahi alchemy of becoming, of being what you are coming to be. And that is again the attain of coming or attaining or ethosing or accepting or the predestination, and that is the legacy logat or the word balagat of God that is written in the iron music sheets. And again, whether you like it or you don't, you might swear, but the music sheets bring you here with the few parameters of the differential equation that you have. We call it the free will, that are completely finite. You are being completely channeled into making that choice or reaching to that predestination by the mercy of God, by means of the powerful iron of these music sheets that are working with infinite amount of parameters in that equation, so that you kind of converge eventually into a certain answer. That's how the uncertainty turns into certainty, that I will show it to you later. Or basically the actuality comes outside of the probability. Another name of the qadar or the free will is the potential. And so God gives the potential of becoming, and this is cause or the cut of the potential, or what potential has actually actualized, and that is called cause or qazad or expire, or is done, or it is done, or it is fulfilled. That means the cause, and that is what is written in the iron music sheets. And whatever is written there, then it is easy peasy to get the potentials to go toward that certainty. And that certainty is the number one, as I said, the nightmare of the Zen zombies, that all that they can do is farting and guessing and gassing and producing Zen or Zanna in Zen in Chinese language, as well as Arabic, as well as Hebrew, zenning or guessing. And again, because if you want to play around with a spoon, or if you want to lift up 65 tons of a stone, then you must use the guessing assumption level, that everything must come into, once you sit behind the yantra and you want to become the god of your reality or your dream, then you have to start zenning or guessing, that okay, I guess this is my mother, I guess this is that, and that is how you can start. I guess this is nothing, not a 65-ton stone, I can cut it, I can get the genes to come and do. That's how the pharaoh becomes, or the Buddha Abudan becomes all once you become that, then you can guess whatever you want to do. That's how they make the digits of if you go to the digits, you see the four fingery, here you can see the 4 fingers that we have. These 4 fingers are the 4 dark matter levels. These digits are what we call them as the bodhisattva, a piece of filth. And so these bodhisattvas Any person whose past is toward Buddhahood, basically toward this. These are the dark, most powerful pieces of filth that are working toward nothing. Here, a person who is able to reach to nirvana but is delayed and doing so out of compassion. I mean, again, this is a bunch of euphemism of the dark forces that are talking about. They are the ones that are getting to believe, and by their relativity, with time dilation, with lens contraction, because they can only do it once you are guessing, and once you guess and dharma to that, then you are dharmaing into no ravana or no run and going back to this because of the frustration. Why? Because if you are in the latter land, then and you are cut from the meaning, or you are caused to be away from the meaning, it is a gigantic amount of the cacophony that you can only silence it in meditation with 666 fingers, or the Jyan Mudra with a stiff neck. That is how you can get it to make sense for you. And how you make it get it to make sense, you buy the nirvana. And this is the same digit that they are doing. The digits of the thoughtful pharaoh are the bodhisattvas, and so these are the four fingers that are needed, or the four dark matter elements of the air, space, as well as soil and air of dark matter. I'm not talking about matter, that are being governed by the Buddhihood of what they call it, the Buddhihood of the Brahman, or the Buddhi, or the devil's bodied Buddhi of the Agnic fire. And then once you get these four, then you can cook a brick and make a pillar in that, make someone like Tesla. That's how you make an orangutan like Confucius. And so that is how you go up, and yes, so that is how the free will, the qadar, or the potential comes to become actualized in form of either nirvanic Neanderthal, or in form of a heavenly reader and believer into meaning and beauty and poetry and the purpose behind the creation, or the cause behind the creation. This Christian chemotherapy or purification process of turning a loser lead to a golden servant, inshallah a martyr, is the most dangerous undertaking or an ordeal that exists. Because it can turn you to a diamond, or it can turn you in this purification process. You can become a diamond or nothing. Third, compressed, they call it Vajra or Vajra, or tremendous amount of the mass, completely zenning anomaly, or transhumanized monster, or Phrygian genius with tremendous amount of bass, or the sex power, regarding on what the hell you want to do for your bodhisattva god. And that's it. Before I talk about some of my unspeakable and catastrophic failures during this process, that again thanks to the patience of God and the willpower of these zebra sheets, I was brought to the conclusion of seeing my mistakes and failures. Before I talk about some of my unspeakable that I must speak them, and catastrophic failures, and Allah's forgiving fire that is purifying these golden sheets, I am going to talk about number one characteristic of legendary examples and Du'ahi love diamonds, who are role models of Christ the Karimi vineyard or the treasure box, and have passed all of these tests. We read about this test that in John 15:1, I am the true Christ the Karimi vine, and my Father, or the Father, Surah 35 is called after the Father, or the Creator, or the Fader, or the Feeder, because again the Christ by himself is dark matter, dark energy, but it is this feeder that is making that to become a jasper, a stone, and that's why we say that Allah is the source of Yasin Yazdan, Izad Yazdan. And my Father Allah is the farmer. Every branch in me that bears not fruit, he takes away and tosses it into night sea. And every branch that bears fruit, he purges it, or alchemizes it, or drops distilling what? Katiro, or taqatir, or kotrat, or the incense, he prayers of the saints that are getting these iron sheets to be written and propel, or drops distilling katiro or ainul qatran. This qatr, or this droplet, is the Du'ahi droplet of the Qaf that is coming from Allah, or the Qudsi Qaf, the letter Q or K in English, or it on it, drops distilling Qatrat on it, or refines it by copper, cover, kopria, or kapar, ring, kope, fertilizing manure, as we read, for instance, in the case of the barren fig tree, to fruit, and get this witness to come out in a certain manner, and comes out of the pool of the potentials and reach into the actuality of what I'm delivering to you in 2019. That is called basically that's the merciful manure, or the fertilizing manure that Christ has put upon me, so that I can get to this witness. Alhamdulillah, all him to Allah. Salam Allah be upon my intercessor, my father, Sultan Sambara, or the chamber, colon container of the mercy, and that it may bring forth more fruit, inshallah. Abide in me and I in you, as the branch cannot bear fruit of itself except it abides in the Koromahi Vaina, or the charming Qur'ana, or the vine Vorda of Beit HaKaram, or Beitul Karim, or the charismatic charismatic asthmatic orchard ocean, who is, yes, kabudly and generously, Kerem, grace, sabq, rang, karma, or carring droplets, or compassion, portioning or pishoning, facing or dropping, raining droplets of katiroi, katrat, or the taqatir, or the kotrat. Or Ain al-Qat, that we have it in Asura 1896. So the prayers of the saints comes, and then we have it also in Revelation 5 verse 8, I think. Similarly, you cannot bear fruitful love stories and flute psalms to Allah except you abide in me. Quran, the Kareem, entrance, or the Madkhal al-Sidq, to God's glance. If a man abide not in me, he is cast out into night sea or the Galilee jungle as a branch, and is withered. And hell men, the angels of the hell, gather them and cast them into the sorrow fire, and they are burned. One of the legendary diamonds of this purging process, or purifying refinement, or Allahi alchemy, or purging by loss of ego weight void, and again this ego weight void wants you dharma to tremendous amount of it in a digits, then you turn to a vajra, or the vazra, or the weight, or the super weighty blacksmith, like Guru Einstein, or the Guru Copernicus, or Guru Galilei, or purging by loss of ego weight void is kind King Solomon, who has passed all of the dangerous tests. Before looking at a junkie joke like me, again, let's take a love look at iron power, the magnitude and significance of kind King Solomon's adjutancy, and work and solar synergy with his Isahi throne tablet, or Tarshish tablet, or the Knesset Ganj rock. Read in Asura 33 verse 72. Indeed, we offered the Messiah, or the trust tablet, or the Loh al-Amanat, or the Loh, the solar slate of trust, and or Amanat, or the safe trust tablet, that you give it to someone that you trust, or the Tabut al-Amanat, or Amir Habib the carpenter, and Noah's sheep and bird, and Sabayan spirit, and Erah earning Iran, Aron, Ni Aryan Yara, or Yeru, Salami, rock refuge, long K chest of Ahiro, or Arya, Kheshutat, or the Chesidi Aryan, or the Aryan, Iranian, Kheshutat, or the Chesidat, or the Hasadat, or the Ghairat, that from his Salomonahi back and beyond, Arashah the archer, and Ishmael, again both of them are the archers of the Genesis 21:20, threw a rahi arrows at under Indira's Babeli ant pit, or our cave kahfi, column container of chambar mina or chambar or sambara, or dirdo hinda of dawn. And so we offered the trust tablet or the trust book or the book of life or book of amana or the immunity, amen, immunity, to the heavens and to the earth and the Genevieve mountains and to the mountains in Egypt earth or in heavenly Amen Tur or the Tur al-Ayman. وَيَنَزَّلُ مِنَ السَّمَاءِ مِنْ جِبَالٍ فِيهَا or the heavenly Amen Tur Mount Ocean. And again, part of these Jabal that we read about them, these Jabal or the mountains are even the heavenly mountains or the Jin Valley mountains that are flying in the sweet ocean or in the mini mountains of the Zion or the Sinin mountain, mega mountain, or the 20th mountain, or the Amen Tur. And they declined, again the heaven and the earth and then the mountains, they declined to bear and carry the Christ or the heavy trust tablet or the heavy cow Christ cloud, him solar self. Although I must add that optical Mannamun mirror or the heavily televised lamp lens is attached and carried to by Holy Spirit camera body that is held by Allah photographer, or in the other side's wineboard or terminology or Tarshishi terminology. Trust tablet or solar lily lens is yes carried or aviated or raised or aided or ayyadna loftily here by Holy Spirit or the Amen Spirit is aided by the Holy Spirit or Ruach HaKodesh or loftily lifted, rebooted or niched and recessed and drawn up or grabbed, yumseko sama as we read, or meshkat, or in Asura 6079, 2265, 3541, 6719. By the seven lampstand. By the lampstand of the seven stars, or the higher Khond and Yakin, or the Kitab Maknud, or the Makkannad, or the 10 Makonad, or the tower tree of standing life, Al Hayyul Qayyum, or the Yawm Al Qiyamat, life, who is also tower tree of good and constant and clean and calm, call ideal da'at, or the da'wat or tayyibat or da'wated, or the solar ceiling, roof, sky, saqafed, or the suspended, hung, warmed up, or dangled and kindled from his up top, Shekinah hot head crown, front yard, or the back and behind and beyond the right hand horn cornea, by merciful means of Allah his salam head source, and 7-story mosque churches. And so again, the trust, that is how heavy is the lens. Again, the lens that you are using, that God is using, or the Allah photographer, is being carried by the body, and the body does not cannot be carry itself. If Allah let it go, then it drops with the lens, all of it. Done. And so Allah, photographer, is holding the body, and then the body or the seven lampstand are holding the right hand or the right horn cornea of the Christ. And that is how Christ is hovering in the middle of the heaven and earth, or between the waters. And so that is how, and so this heavy lens that can do anything and photo shoot any style in the dark room. You want to drop a spotlight in the dark room, the lens does it for you. You want to turn on the entire dark room, it does that. You want to have a laser sharp pointed beam, it does that. You want to go to a fisheye stud, it does that. You want to go to the utmost corners or the diameters or the word lines of the dark room in the fisheye wide angle, the lens does that. And so the lens is beyond the capacities of an amateur user. That, for instance, in the case of Salomon, that is a professional user of the lens, Allah allows him to go in the back of the lens, or in as a mortal one that has allowed to come into to become the body of the camera for adjusting different photo shooting modes and doing the different styles of the photography in the dark room of the Akashic negatives. That is basically working for the printing. And so God says that, all right, who is able to carry this lens or truss tablet? And then again, the body, camera body said, it is beyond my knowledge, because the capabilities of Isahi lens, or the most egoless piece of the creation, is beyond the imaginable capacities of the Holy Spirit or the Hari Hatred spirit of the Baha'i baboons of the Buddha beast, or the Gentile junks of the junkyard. And so and then God said, all right, so who's gonna carry? And then they, heaven and the earth, genie, veil, mountains, wisely feared Christ, feared ashfaqanna minha, feared Christ. Again, that's where we have in Revelation 6 and 16, 6 verse 16. It is not only the fear of Allah, but also from fear of that heavy Caucasus cloud. And they all wisely feared from the spirit of the entire world, or the Christ, because the wise fear from just wrath of Isahil of lamp against irrational and unreasonable and unloving cowardice and fear and hatred and ugliness and stinginess and parsimonious and miserly jealousy that can happen to the self-care carrier of the trust tablet, that under the weight of the trust tablet, or the Amen Rohul Amana, is turned into a self-cursed, completely egotistical Vajra dung, like a bodhisattva that is completely nirvana, although they know about the Ravana, and then they said that no Ravana, I'm not gonna run or Ravana or do anything. And so that's how they turn into completely compressed excrements, and we call them again the bodhisattvas or the dejats, and they are at the utmost hatred of that Christ caught word lining of the Alpha to Omega letter land. And so because again these bodhisattvas, they like if you are a chimpanzee with a theory that is called relativity, they must not give you Nobel prizes. They must put you to electrical chair, or burn you into the fire, or just get rid of you. Because you are a gigantic sack of scum that is full of irrationality, unreasonability, unloving, because you are a power-hungry monster that wants to get the spoon to bend. Okay, or do whatever, but you know, and you can do that, and God gives you that potential to do that. But in order to do that, then you have to get the time dilation, lens contraction. You have to tender your reality, and not only your reality as a mental psychopath, that we call it, as a bodhisattva, but also you have to get the entire world to buy that. And if they don't, then you're gonna bomb them and then call them the savages, because they are dreamers. And in order to do that, you have to again bring everything into the Zen realm of gesture and assumption. And that's why it is the self-cursing. And because they know about that, and then that is how the the potential, it turns into that kind of chimpanzee. And then they wisely feared from Mahishasura that can because of the wise fear from the just wrath of Christ against irrational and unloving jealousy, hatred, ugliness, miserly, jealousy, parsimonious, stinginess. That can happen. You want to see the stinginess, the floods that are happening in the Iran. You can see how a state is economically sanctioning and preventing the other nations to. Or you want to look at the stinginess, look how India is treating the brothers and sisters in Kashmir. Or you want to look at the stinginess, you can see how food and medicine are being or even the truth is being forget about the medicine, because so much of that medicine is just junk. How the truth is being killed. That's why, for instance, they killed the prophets of God, because of that stinginess, because they don't want anybody to know what's going on. And that can happen to the self-care carrier of the trust tablet, that instead of turning it to a Muslim diamond, has turned it into a dry turd. We call it Vajra, or a digit with the forefinger of the dark matter that is burned and turned into a brick with the dark fire, or the dark energy of the Shakti Sakti menstruation fire of the Lady Liberty on a Phrygian hat, and then it is turned into a baked brick or a digit, or a nirvanic bodhisattva. But Amir man, in my case, of this barren victory, so God said, all right, so who's gonna work with Christ or carry the Christ? But Amir man, amnesia knows, undertook, and Hamalaha Insan, the Insan, or the chimpanzee, or the Adama, or the Hamuna, or the dark ground, the vanity, the void, said, I bear it, I bear Christ, I carry the lamp lens. Indeed, he was empty image, he was Zulum. We will look at it later on. What is Zaluman? But indeed the chimpanzee that said, yes, I will carry the cross at my heart, and said was empty at my mind. It was empty, it was unjust or a tyrant. And the dummy Amir was also dumb, ignorant. He was ignorant. And so these are the two major characteristics of someone who dares to work with Christ. And so because when man undertook and bear it, accepts to bear it, then basically it is as if that you say that, oh yeah, give that lens to me and the camera, but that is needs a tremendous amount of the knowledge of photography, and God says that this chimpanzee doesn't even know how to shoot, doesn't know what is photography, doesn't know what is love, that is doesn't know how to love, and that is why it is ignorant, and it lacks the knowledge, because the more you know, the more you fear the responsibility of carrying that heavy and expensive and super luxury fabulous lens. And also you are unjust, because once you are carrying it, then you are if you don't use it properly, then you are wasting tremendous amount of mercy that can benefit hundreds of millions of people, because that is the only lens that God has made for the creation. And so again, it carries tremendous amount of for apostle, or for the ones that go to students that go under the cascade of the charisma in the Christ class cup, the ones that are coming with the prophetic payloads, there is a tremendous amount of responsibility for them to feed the sheep with the Gospels, with the Masnavi Manavi, with Rumi poetry, with Bustan and Golestan, with Shahnama of Master Ferdowsiya, with those things that that imbue the language with first class poetry of the shu'ur and the consciousness that is coming from absolute level of consciousness, purest level of consciousness. And in order to be able to do that, you have to let go of two things of you that are the characteristics of, by you I'm talking about me, if anyone wants, and that is the these are part of the Tinat or the Tian, or these are the inborn properties that Hindu Hellions are dharmaing to it, of dirt. A soil has the Zaluman in it, and the soil is ignorant, and the ultimate level of the unjust person is a monstrous digit that is dharmaing to dirt or dark matter, or the four fingers, as well as or a bodhisattva that is dharmaing to nirvana. And these are the ultimate manifestations of unjust and ignorance, injustice, tyranny. This is the tyranny. Okay, and these are what our essence is. And the essence of the Kali Khali Khala vacuum, of the vanity of the Akashic space or dark room or nose or the mind, is nothing. And so that you either dharma to that, and then you become a tyrant, and then you also become an ignorant, because you have to ignore the cause or the ends of that Advaita Hinduism, and then you can talk about non-duality. But in order to do that, you have to first basically you said to your heart that, all right, let me just ignore this couple of parameters, and then I can mess around with the rest of the differential equation. I can get you to reach to any kind of simulation result, but just let me just ignore this. This is the same mentality of a chimpanzee that bears the Bible and then comes and says, all right, how about just let me just take these 10 12 verses that are about the LGBT from the Bible, and then I can make a gay friendly Bible. This is a joke. Okay, and so once you do that, then you are ignorant, and by doing that ignorance, you are doing what? You are bringing tremendous amount of injustice and tyranny upon the people that are going to touch that filthy piece of crap that you call it Bible, but it is not, because it is genetically modified, and then you give it to the people, and so that is the unjust. And so that is why, again, that's the responsibility of just getting closer, working with the religion of God, let alone working directly with the Christ. And that is where I am. That is again the heaven and the earth, and then the mountains in the heaven and in the earth. They run away from accepting to work directly with Christ. But as we are going to see, again, forget about my retard case. That is a perfect example of catastrophic failures. But in case of King Solomon, then we are going to see how you can become a king, Solomon, and then how King Solomon underwent the Allahi alchemy of the purification, and then became a diamond instead of turning into a third. And so indeed he was what? And so Adam, man, and Adam, or Adama, or the Hamuna, or the hominid, or the human, which means Zamuna, or Zaman, or the time space, but mortal mud of the ground, said, I will bury the love light. But how? You cannot do that, because you have no idea what is love. And so indeed this Adam was an empty image. That's the meaning of Zaluman, or the Zalam, or the Zalami, Zal, Zulmat. I just put all of it for you if you want to dig into it. So Zalam is Zal, or the meaningless word. A letter cannot carry the type letter that looks like the lush legacy word, but this is a meaningless word. Okay, this is a dummy demuti word, as we said before. Dark Pharaoh is another name of the Zal, or the Salam of the Sulmat, or like the Mesal that we have it here. The Sal means example, or a clone cannot carry the genuine one. A clone is part of the Zulmat, or the Zalam. The dark Pharaoh, negative film, shady aperture, dirty dent, notch, at bloody Adam, or the dummy demuti, domain, daman, domain, skirt of the higher body, or the hillside, and so the side does not exist. The hill exists without the side, but the side, hillside, or the side comes when only the hill is there. That is how sight can be defined as a side part of the hill, or the Christ Academy side, or the casted and damn doom the dam the dama demon demoti tail grace shadow, or the resemblance likeness outside of the other side, or the masala as above so below thing. That is how they bring it into nothing, and that is how they bring as above so below, or that is basically the motto of the advertisement, or the non-duality. That but again even that is mentioned in Surah 65 verse 12, that how it is working and what's the difference, and how as above is not as so below, but how that helps the zalams, or the empty images, to become Brahman, Atmans, or half god, half chimpanzee, sacks of nothing. And dummy Amir was also dumb, ignorant. I didn't know what a battlefield. And so God said that come down, and some of you will be the enemies of the rest. And so this is even the enemy, the enmity that is going on.
Last week, when Press TV team visited this Rohingya refugee camp in the Jammu region of Indian-controlled Kashmir, the refugees were seen all over the place. But today, many of them are absconding from the site. The fear of deportation has forced these Muslim refugees into hiding.
We have not demanded anything from India except for this favor to allow us to live here. If they send us back, the Buddhist authorities will kill us.
India has once again deported 4 members of a Rohingya.
And so, yes, this is the enmity of these Buddhist baboons that we have, as well as the enmity of the Muslim against them, because they are dharma into this empty tyranny and ignorance. I didn't know what a battlefield is. History between love life after religious knowledge and dark forces of black holic, this idea. And so I was Nasari-less, and Allah gave me the Emilia. I was orphan in this jungle, and Allah gave me His rocky refuge. همینجا که یتیمم فعبا like even Muhammad. Again, that is the refuge that God gives you. Again, there is nothing more blessed to carry or to be allowed to work with Ruhullah, or a spirit of Allah, or a spirit of God, that is Christ. And I was a lost loser in Babel pit, and he Yahud headlighter وَوَجَدَ ظَالًا فَهَدَى, and then he Yahuda'd me, or I was a poor PhD potato, and Allah made me rich. وَوَجَدَكَ عَائِلًا فَأَغْنَى. This is the richness, all of this richness, all of the refuge that is coming, or all of the help that is coming, or the guidance that is coming. These are all what the trust, the blessings of the trust tablet, or the Christ, that brings to your life. That's part of the purification. Once you see the blessings, the refuge, the stability, the sanity, the health of the mind, the cleanliness, merciful grant us yastakhraja kanzahuma to me, and so made me reach out, and mercifully granted yastakhraja kanzahuma rahmatan min rabbih. So what is the kanz? That is the trust tablet. That is what is the kanz? The kanz is about the Christ, not about me. There is nothing special about me. Forget about this piece of filth. What is important is the kanzahuma, and then the kanzahuma that is given to me and my aliyahi brother, or the treasure tablet of the underworld, is another name of the Christ, that we call him the trust, or tabut al-amana. Another song from Parisa, the queen of Persian classical music. I will translate this song later on for you. Here it is. This is the trust tablet, or the Christ, that is saying to the Master Rumia that Ganj del Zamin Manam, I am the Ganj, or the Kenz. In Persian, Arabic, Ganj, Kenz, or Knesset. I am the Knesset, or the treasure box, which means also we call it as the jewel box, or the synagogue, or the church, or the sambar, or chamber, safe of the jewels. What are the jewels? The meaning, the milk, the realm of the language. Forget about the letterland. It says that I am the Ganj, or the treasure tablet, Ganj, Kenz, Knesset of the earth, or the letterland. Zamin mana تو بر زمین قبل آسمان منم، قبل آسمان منم. Christ says, I am the pole of the underworld. I am the Qibla, or the Kabbalah, Qabula of the heart of the earth. I am the lamp of the dark room. I am the pole that wherever you are lost, then you can be found by looking at me. That is what we say, that alam yajidka yatiman fa'awa wa wajadaka zallan fahada, and then you were dark, oh Muhammad, and then I gave you the headlight. Who is the hada, or the hidayat, or the guidance, glory bulb? That is the Christ, that God says that now wherever you are in the dark room, then you're not lost anymore. The dark room is not dark anymore. It is turned on. Now enjoy. Or alam yajidka yatiman fa'awa, or I give you the refuge. Who is the refuge of Muhammad? Who is the refuge of Moses? Who is the refuge of Solomon? That is the Christ. وَوَجَدَكَ alam fa'agna, and then I find you that you are poor, PhD potato, and then I give you what? I give you something that you become rich. And what is that richness? That is the treasure. Is the Tarshishi treasure, or the Ganj, or the Kenz, or we call him also as the solar synagogue. But again, not the synagogue. The real word for the synagogue is the Knesset, or that is coming from the word of the Kenz. Kenz in Arabic, or in English, Ganj in Ganj, Kenz, Knesset, Kenzi, Kanas. which means the gathering chamber birdnest of aerial pearls. And so that is the treasure box that is given to the poor, so that it doesn't become poor anymore. And so yes, Adam, God said, who's going to carry these lamblings, and then Adam said, I. But then Adam realized that it doesn't know how to shoot, it doesn't know how to work, it doesn't know what is photography, it doesn't know what is the darkness, doesn't even know what is the photo photos to escatosi photolight. And I was heart chest congested, 12 rib by 12 rib congested, and Allah opened me and my Aliyah Akhiyahi to become or brought to be Cedar cross carriers. Alam nashrah, like a saddle, and then that's how our chests were open out to carry the trust of it. And Allah removed or dropped my egotistical I, who was sinfully weighed and Atman anchored, and Vajra Vazana Anka Vezrag. And then God said that, and I removed your Vajra from you, from it's telling it to Prophet Muhammad, that you were a Vajra carrier or a mace carrier. And then after the night Laylatul Qadr, you started carrying that. After the Laylatul Qadr, or the first night that you ate mushroom, you died, and then you started carrying the Vajra weight vanity, until you reached the night of the transfiguration or the metamorphosis or the moon shining, and then I flashed and gave you the blessing, and then of the Christ, and then that is how your vain vanity or vazrak or vazra or vajra was removed, or gors was removed. To weigh was egotistical I, who was sinfully weighed, anchored to vain mind mass of blank holy vayu void. And this is basically this is the characteristic of every bodhisattva or every digit of the Pharaoh, and they're all Vajra carrying all of these shamans of the Pharaoh, or the Teslas of the Pharaoh are carrying this, or the Khans of the Pharaoh, or the philosophers of the Fil Enki elephant are all carrying the Vajra. And it is the God that chooses who is the one that can see the lamp, and who is going to stay in the darkness, to vein my mass of blank holy vayuvod. And Allah disentangled me from being bent, allazi angaza zahrak, because you were bent, your back was bent under the weight of the Vajra, under Indra, the Gog&Magog gravity of Dajjalic Antichrist. And Allah raised my under Indra eye toward the Ravanahi remembrance rooftop. Like a zikr, that's how the remembrance or the male remembrance rock comes, and then you helps you to remember, or to become straightened, or to turn into one individual that is going back and forth to Christ class cup, and then receiving language, talk, reason, lectures of لغت or logos of repeat, and therefore Allah, God, my I to become dangled from Kaukaras cup. And this is the crux of the consciousness, to realize that you are not carrying the lens. A lens is carrying you, or the camera is carrying you, because your life story is being generated, as well as everything else in the letterland is being generated and projected from the portal periscope porch by that Kaukaras cup, or the Hosanna hanged, that or lamp locked or clinged from sabab hani herre and karuzeli kazar course of Kaukarized clock. And so Allahi alchemy has worked on the test field as test subject. If it wisely says, who the hell am I to carry the heavy Kaukaras cloth? It is the trust tablet who is patiently putting up with my filthy weight and darkness. And so the continue with the 33:72 plus 1, the next one verse. Offering Arazna of the trust tablet was a self-cursing, creator-curing test, because you either self-curse yourself and you stick to the self, and then you become an Advaita non-dualistic chimpanzee, or then you end up into a cured person that is working with the using the curing cream charming karam korom of God. Was a self-cursing creator curing test, or offering of flying Seleucine scroll of Zechariah 5 verse 1 to 4, that is precisely is describing what is we've read in Surah 33 verse 72 and verse 73. And so offering of trust tablet was a self-cursing and creator curing test, or offering of the psilocybin flying Seleucine scroll. The scroll is a Seleucine scroll of a manna mushroom that devastates and causes and turns the carrier to a pathetic third, or turns it into a thankful human. A flying Seleucine scroll that is honey tasted at the other side, Revelation 10. It is, we can say, it is the same type of a scroll in the essence, although they are, this is more generic, and this is the related to the end time eschatological aspects, but of the manna mushroom, but it is basically the same. Flying Seleucine scroll that is honey tasted at the other side, but at this wicked world side is bitterly tasted with truths of the Buddhic tyranny. Was a test, so that Allah may punish the hypocrite Amir man and hypocrite Jezebel woman with their own self-curse. That is how the self-curse comes. Again, God doesn't curse anyone, or that God of mercy is only mercy. But if God wants to then we can he can let us on our own, and then we will damage ourselves, or the sodomite ourselves, or curse ourselves, or sick ourselves, because we are made from the sickness, and that is how the sickness will make the sick more sicker. and so that's how we collapse into ourselves, and then down the line we turn into nothing but a third, a junk, Vajra third, with their own self-cares, because they don't betray the trust tablet. That's the betrayal, and caved in and buckled, interiorized under Indra, and then these are the ones that go for the self-cursing. These are the ones that keep dharma into nothing, to themselves. And they don't betray the trust tablet and caved in or the buckled. They could not gratefully interiorize the evil illusion that they doom or the dummy shadow are carrying the trust tablet, or they are the Buddhist bats, blind bats, that are putting up with the lamp, the bats with the photophobia, that are putting up with the trust tablet. They could not gratefully see that trust tablet is carrying them and is allowing the bats to remain in a dark room. It is beyond the hellish horizon of hypocrites to see that the Binahi declaration, eloquence, expression, plus Sophia speak, intercession, shafa'at, or the healing intercession, or the healing shafahi speak, as well as the Binahi declaration, plus mau'azat, or the instruction, orientation, plus tafsilan, or the detailed explanation, together are like the porta periscoporci oration of all, entire, whole, Wallahu shafa'atu jami'an, say to Allah belongs all of the healing altogether. That healing is coming from this first aid kit, or the trust tablet, or the treasure, or the religion box of God, or wal arzu jami'an, not from man fis sama al arz jami'an, or wal arzu jami'an bi qabzati bi yamineh, or the hand of God that is wrapping entire earth, or the letter land. And so portal periscope oration of all, entire, whole programs, things, words, waters, destinies, droplets, and keys. These are all the places that are the references that we have about the influence of God, of Christ on creation, or the hand of God on creation, and how all of the programs or things are being governed, or the keys, or the registry keys are being governed by the computer. They are the ones that are installed on the computer, the mini programs. The computer is not installed on those mini games and programs. Or the registry codes is coming from Mubinahi Imam Isa, or the Mubinahi or Binahi, or Solar Sultan, Sultan Mubin, as we read in these cases. These are all the accounts that are referring to Christ, or Imam Mubin, 36:12. or authorization orifice, or the clarification aperture, flashlighting lily projector, or the optical lens. And that is why many water voices, or every degree of freedom and caused sound effect, every single cried and roared and goreshed and krazod, krazo, goreshed, coming from the same Greek Persian, krazod phenomena is are coming from white wolf voicing, phoning, phenomening, afananing, or fanos, fanusi, misbah, mouse of God. Because all of these phenomenon, projection and voice utterances and benai speak of God's mouth, because of this phenomenon, projection and voice utterance and benai speak of God's mouth, 2 of the 12 Ustanahi names of the other or the Yasperahi salam screen, because for the conversation to happen you have to have another, and then once you have that other with 12 different modes, 2 of the 12 Wahi names of the other, these are the 12 stones, are named as Laleo or Tala'alo, is what we call it in Holy Quran or Arabic Persian, or Laleya or Laleya or Laleo, Persian, Sanskrit, English, Greek, Arabic, as well as Holy Quran. Lo, we say, or La'ale or Lalea or the Lalea, Talalia. And that is mentioned in Revelation again 10:3, many places, but and Asura 55 verse 22, or lullabying, talking, speaking, uttering, caressing, cornelian pearl, that is cornelian pearl is for the la'al, that is one of the 12 stones. Cornelian pearl, or the spinal garnet, ruby. These are all the names of, or the spinal garnet, ruby, or the red ruby, red garnet, la'al, that we have. And so that's one of the la'al, and then the other one is the sapphire, what? Merging, or marraja, or the silence and death and night and darkness, disturbing, what? Merging or perturbing, or the mouth opening, or the utterance, or the emanating, or the prescoping, or the emergence comes into English, marriage, merging, or marriaging, and that is how the marriage happens, or the merging happens, or the isthmus between the two, between the silence or of the letter land, as well as the meaning realm happens, and that is how the meaning emerges or blesses the silence, or the emerging, or the we call it in Greek or Arabic Persian as margarits, or marjan, which means pearl, as another margarits. We have it in Revelation 21:21. It's one of the emergent modes of the emergence, or the sapphire Ein Sofi, sapphire Ein Sofi, at Marjan of Surah 55:22. These are names of the 2 modes of this of the jasper. We've already covered the jasper stone. These are the 2 more modes, 2 more stones that are named after them. And so going back to Surah 33 verse 72 and 1, and we offered the trust tablet so that Allah may punish the hypocrite man and the hypocrite woman. In the case of me and my Emilia Jezebel lady, and again, this offering is the offering of the trust tablet or the flying scroll that can bring the self-cares and or blessing, curing, so that the man and the woman may be punished by Love Lord life of his clearly talking trust tablet of those. And so part of it is that they doom could not gratefully here that Allah may punish the hypocrite man and the hypocrite woman. And so first part is the munafiqeen and munafaqat, or the hypocrites. And so this is how the hypocrisy, and what is the characteristic of a hypocrite? Betrayal, treachery, fraud, and then betrayal to the trust tablet and to the heart. And also that Allah may punish the man and the woman who associate dummy others like themselves, like their Atman ego, like the Brahman, like Barack Babun Obama, to Allah, associate others like empty death, nirvanic silence, lonely ego, Shiva Ziva Zeus shades, Ahrimani ashes, black holy causes, and holocally energy, and pharaonic falsehood and hairy hatred with Allah creator of this clearly talking trust tablet, and that Allah may accept our repentance. This is where the refinement and the repentance and the purification comes, that instead of turning it to a third is making a diamond out of it, that Allah may accept the repentance or the refinement or the purging purification of empty abomination from the believing man and the believing woman who are touched and alchemized by Ruhul Amana, or the Ruhul Amana trust tablet, Ruhul Amin or Lohul Amin, or the trust tablet or the safe slate, safe tablet, or the trustworthy immune Amen Emmanuel He Mata and Samma Amin. Again, we have the two accounts that are mentioned across as Amen Spirit, or the Amen Immune trustworthy Spirit of God. And ever is Allah forgiving and merciful, and is loving to get you to go under the purification and refinement process, so that you may bear more fruit. And that is how you can this process is the process that gets you to bear more fruit. And then the more you repent, the more you refine, the better you can work. The more you acknowledge that you don't know how to work with the camera and then the lens, the more Allah, photographer, is more than loving to teach you how to work with the camera and how to work with the but if you say that no, I don't need the camera, I don't need or I know how to do it, and that kind of thing, the more you remain in that self-cares of ignorance and tyranny. There is a tasteful and sweet and pearly problem in working and making love with love lamp, and that pearly problem or Tarshishi treasury test is that before Isahi handout taps you on your shoulder and gets your attention, arrow or remembrance vector to raise toward word him, soul, or self, or the lullaing, or the lullabying, or the talaloing, or the glassolalying, marjan pearl, or the spinal garnet ruby stone, or the la'al, before taps you on your shoulder and get your attention, arrow remembrance vector to raise toward him holy self, and attend the Christ class cup, you have been already lost in sober painlessness and death and ignorance and mindfulness and omnious oblivion of gentle junkyard, where there is no problem or heartache. It is absolute death. You are completely numb. You are like you have already died in the coldness because of hypothermia. And that's how you can become a happy hippie. That's how you can lose all of the heartaches and then the problems, and then go into that absolute state of the painlessness, and then stay there. The pain of carrying that pain is the pain, also the pain of the Micah chapter 4 verse 10. This pain is again it is easy to walk on the needles or those that do those, but this pain is very frightening for those monster sadhus of shadow sadhu Siddhim Valley. However, when someone like Allah, his son one, gets his glass bulb, or the charmingly lullabying logos lipa, this is the la'al that we have. Gul azru khata mukhta nazuk badani ra badani ra badani ra badani ra bulbul zato amukhta shiri sukhanira 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 har kas ke labe laal tura dida badil guft. Here is the confession of seeing the lollying, or the lalling, or the talking, or the moonshining mouth, or the lip of God, and that is Christ. And so that is the lal, or the lollying. Because in Persian or in the Urdu pronunciation, it is la'al or la'al. Laliya. La'al. Laliyaing logosly plans. Whoever saw that lollying logosly, they said, wow, indeed it is awesome. That's the aqiq yamani. That is the aqiq yamani, or the carnelian pearl, or the spinal garland, or the aqiq yamani. It's the ruby, red ruby aqiq agate. It's the ruby agate that is speaking, and that is the source of the language, not the monkey or the giraffe or a hippo mind or a dinosaur mind or mosquito mind cannot make the language. We have to see that, and then we can mimic that. or another about the la-liaing la'al. And this ruh or the face of the beloved that is obvious in our ruhi revelry is that la-liaing lip or la'al of Christ. Christ Karimi la'al of Allah, or the lip or the agate of God.
روزه دارم من و افطارم از آن لعل لب است آری افطار رطب در رمضان مستحب است.
That la'al lab is again what we call it as the la-liaing part. The lab تو آلوده به ماء العنب است, or the la-liahi cup son of Maria who pours ampelosy red wine blood into the heart. You can I think see the poet here that is writing about the la'al or the la'liya in all of the languages, and so that is one of the 12 stones of the la'ala. So to moonshine, then, and so however, when this is one of the problems that incentive for the darkness dharmaing, or the ones the bats of the Buddha that are dharmaing to the darkness, that once this glacialia or the la'liya happens, then the heartache starts, and that's the pain that they are afraid of, because they don't have that heart, and thus those who were looking for ache-free love light would fail the world wine test. With a la'liya la'allah, the logic منطقة تير نطق, that is the from legacy lens lip, we can say that when hollow hatred of bottomless pit is exposed by love lamp lens, then two choices would remain for the running away or escaping or getting rid of empty ego or the sick psyche or kali khali khala itself, or the najais nose. These two choices inevitably constitute the two fundamentalist foundations of the two religious classes of the entire span of history: non-dualism and dualism, i.e. Kant cult of the Shiva Shakti versus the Rukhraki religion of Yasin Yasna Izad Yazdan. That Yaz is what we have at the heart of the Jesus, or Jesus, or Jesus. After and that is part of again what we have already covered as the jasper stone. After hollow hatred of the bottomless pit is exposed by the love lens, then one type of the soul seed can choose to buckle, escape, liberate, or the Phrygian or liberate, or the Phryg, or the Farek under Indra, the Kali, whole Kali, hollowy heaviness. You're just, that's another one way of escaping, is to escape from the light and then just hide in the emptiness and turn your back to it of its or go under Indra, the Kali, hollowy heaviness of Homa, Hama, Hamim, Hamma, Hama, and Hameaten, Ning, acid baths of ego, empty, void, dark, dead psyche, which is a Buddhanic style of cover, or that's what where we have the kifar, or the kafir, or the disbelievers, or the kafir, the unthankful betrayal to life, father, family, mother, family again, honesty, faith, hope, Emilia, Aliyah, Achiyahi, brother, and many other beautiful words. All of them are coming from this la'alab, or the la'liyaing, or the glass la'liyaing, agate, or the garnet ruby, or the spinal stone, that Allah author has written. And so la yashkur Allah man la yashkur nas. You don't appreciate Allah, God, if you don't appreciate the people. And if you appreciate even a pagan person, then you tell them that brother, sister, you are a punk pagan. Do you want to turn into a talking human? Then but again, for that you have to first see that repentance, that how precious is the blood of Christ, what it means to become purified. If you think that you are clean, then you're not gonna go take a shower. You can only take someone, you cannot take a cat under the water, because cat says, no, I'm clean, I lick myself, I don't need shower. Okay, if you take it, it hates it. Okay, and so that's where the language is showering. Those yogic thirds, yoga is also mentioned in Holy Quran, Surah 2 verse 17. We call it istaqat, or the kindled, or the yaqat, or the vaqad. It means vaqat, or the yoked, or kindled, or hanged. When you are light, getting you are becoming enlightened, or lighting from somewhere, that is called the yogi. You either yogi, or yoke, or istaqat, or the vaqat, or yaqad, or iqad, or yuqad, or kindle, catch, hang, fire from Kundalini column with har heat at the base, and then mind power at the top, or you istawqat from Allahi Asura Mazdahi, fire of love. And so those yogi thirds which have collapsed under escape from the purification process, or ruhi refinement of the trust tablet of Allah, and have concealed and sealed themselves with photophobia and aquaphobic hydrophobic state. Under Indra, the fundamentalist mentality, which Samud Samadikali says all of those precious words were nothing, Maya mirage, I am Maya mirage, this creation is a Maya mirage, and it must go back to nothing, because we are all suffering and we don't need the language. Or another way of it is saying that, all right, now that it's working this way, how about me sucking power and then attacking to the heaven, and then that's how I can live in extend my happy hippie state. The Maya mirage of my monkey mind hole are those compressed curds, like the Dadichi curd, or do chi duk curd paste, or the squeezed excrements, or the pressed pastes, or the dadichik dirts, and shakti shikut sakates kotos sected psyches, which Kabbalistic Kant cut of the Shiva Shakti calls them Vajra gores, diamonds, like Yogi Goliath, or the zero yoking, yoking to the zero, or the samadhi. That's where the samadhis comes, that when you do the samud or samadhi, all of these samadhis come back. What are they samadhiing to, or didomying to in Greek? They are didomying, or they are gazing at zero and saying, so like anytime that you say that, hey, there is someone there, and then said, no, any 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever it is, a number, are all coming from zero. I'm obsessed with zero. Once you can zero and you become zero, then everything comes into your zero from your mind, whether it is God, whether it is your brother, your sister, your everything. And like Yogi Golai and the zero yogi fire, Einstein and time idol. Again, these are the bodhisattva, the digits, we call them the idols, but in fact they are like animated animal intellect with smart animals. However, on the other Christ classic side, okay, on the Christ classic side of the solstice, we can see that after the Islamic exposure of the negative film to the legacy lily lens, or the aggrandizer, or the disclosure of the psychic darkness, or the sickly whole Kali self, or the ego pit, or the nocturnal nose, by Tabrizi Dirdo of Dana, Surah 89 and 113 are named after that, because Muslims, for instance, in Surah 113 say that they seek refuge to the Christ. For Muslim Christians, we hate silence. Okay, and so what we love is to just go and then look at the lovely lip of God and become mesmerized with his sermons, and that is the Messiah legacy lip that he's talking, that is the laliyai. And so we cannot help ourselves. That is that's why we say قُلْ أَعُوذُ بِرَبِّ الْفَلَقِ, that said that I seek refuge to the dawn, to the Allahi love Lord, or the Aleph, or the multitudes. Rab means multitude, or the Aleph, like Alpha, or the thousands, or the crown that gets that lalia to the soul, that gets that object of the la'ali, laliyai, glasolelia, lullabying lip to talk. And that's why they say قُلْ أَعُوذُ بِرَبِّ الْفَلَقِ, that I seek refuge to dawn, or to that darkness, silence breaking lip, Then, and so we can see that after they go they are exposed to that, then the Ahura Mazdahi Havara Havari Havariyun, or the Hurul Havariyuns, or the disciples, apostles of the Torah's tablet, who are covered with Zoroastrian camel wool voice, or the water word, or the conversed. Again, the root word of the Havariyun, or the disciples or the apostles of Christ. Whoever goes into that classic class, Christ class, they are called Havariyun, or like of Ahura Mazda, or the Havar, or the Hur, or the Havariyun. That's where the Hur, or the heat, the white heat, or the white wools, or the Havariyun. And the Havariyun comes from the root word of Muhawarat. Muhawarat in Arabic means, as well as Persian, Muhawarat, with the same spelling and everything. Muhawarat of the Havar. Muhawarat means conversation, communication. They love to communicate. They love to break the silence. They love to converse. Not to bomb the shit out of the people, boop, but to communicate. With the glass laliyahing the other, with the other, or akhirat, the other side, the hereafter. This is how they love. These are the mortals that God has made them to have the love power, that is ethosing, or adapting, or loving, or inash onsing. That's the name of the root word of the inash ons. Loving, liking, accepting, yielding, yearning, needing, hajating, hajjing, to have a conversation, to go and look at the talking glass of God, salam screen of God. That is why we call it as the Muhawarat or Muhawirun. The disciples are called Muhawirun, the ones that make conversation with God through his legacy lip. At least that's why they are called disciples and the Havariyun. The Havariyun coming from the root word of the Muhawarat. With the glass laliying, the other, or the Sultan Siraj, or the Shi'riya, he serious star of the underworld, or the dark room, or the fun of an afanani kal qul galling bird nesta of the phonics, fanus, phonics, fana, the ones that are died and are turned into a spirit, or have jumped into the fire and then are fanod or phoned, because phone is something that dies, like a voice, like it spreads, phonos, or the phanus, or the phanoma, would lose themselves in love light. They cannot help it. They are ethosing to that. They are enash, they are onsing with that. Or get rid of their heavy hollowness with a high lightness, or do away with fear and never and silence. They love the yesi, yasin, yasna of Hali Allahi, whole moment of now. in which Allah is every single second is salaming to the creation, as sending love to all of it, so that everything can hang in this fabulous harmony that we have. It is the love that is binding it, but we can see that the love of Allah that is getting my hands to be like this, not like my fingers to fall down, or like I have many hands, or like my fingers start becoming like to go into funky states of what we call them in the psychedelic state of the becoming fluid and trippy, all of those things. This is all the mercy of God, whether in 30 hertz frequency or even 5 hertz frequency. It is all at every single second that muhawarat, or the havari, or the communication, the white wolves of the Christ with the voices of the many waters, or with the phenoms of the many waters, at every single second, every object or every letter in the letterland of Alpha to Omega is being governed or hang from the causal cords of that Christ projector, or the portal periscope porch, that is giving the order to this entire symphony. And so do away with fear and nevers and silence. That's how they go by holy Allah moment of now, or shed a lonely shadow, or escape up from sober and sour sadness. That's again, that's the happiness that these people are talking, that is hollow, into Islamic ecstasy, euphoria, excitement, or the hijayun, or hayajan, or sarajan, wahaujan. Or this is where the excitement comes. These are orangutans of the fartful pharaoh, or the Buddha beast. They have a cheap taste of existence. They all they want is just a little bit of hormonal, they call it, we are balanced, hormonal balance, sexual orgasm, or burning of the neurons on psychedelic, or the sex, and then they are good. But again, the ecstasy is somewhere else. The ecstasy is loving not the zero, but loving the one, of having Isa Messiah, or the Logisi, Hujjatul Balagha, or the Hagio, or Hagios Al-Haqata Malhaqa, or loving the truth, or Hakaka, Haqa, Hagios, Hagion. That is the name of Christ of Revelation 19:12. I know it because I know what is the haqq of Ishaq, the heart of the Ishaq. That is where the haqq sits. Or also they have the hajjat, or the hajji, or the hajjaj, or the need. Where when a Haji or Hajjaji Muhaqqaq strongly denounce, protest, ihtijaj against still sadness, and happily celebrate, dance, pilgrim, betake off toward Christ, pilgrimage and teleportation, periscope, purpose, pole, or gutb, or the proof, truth. That is basically the celebration dance of the pilgrims. خیالم فکری دیگر نباشد، ما را به جز خیالم فکری دیگر نباشد، در هیچ سرخیالی این خوبتر نباشد، در هیچ سرخیالی این خوبتر نباشد. And so This is the goody portal periscope porch that fulfills the Hajjaj or the Hajjaj of Asur of Hebrew 2287, or the feast. This is the food or the feast for the Hajj, which means need, or the ihtiyaj. And that is basically, this is the food of the heart for these Muslim and Christians of this classic style. They love, this is the food of their spirit, and the food of their spirit is that either they talk and do the conversation or the muhawarat, havariyun muhawarat with the Allahi salam screen, and then also let the salam screen talk with them in his own amazing style. This is only something that a Christian or a Muslim knows. We call it the miracles of the God that is working in your life, but someone else cannot see. For them, the double state of the mirror or the screen in the interrogation room, it is mirroring them, and so they see only themselves, and so they see that they are the God, and the room is empty. That is that they are alone. Everything else in the room is made as part of their presence in the room, and that's the loneliness. Everybody else is just a character in their mind. That's a bodhisattva style. But the others they said that no, although it is mirroring, but if God wants, from behind the room, behind this mirror, he turns on the himself, and then you suddenly say that this is a screen, this is not a mirror. And then it gets the light from the other side and then gives it to you, and then you see the other side, and then you start chatting, Skyping with the Shamaim skies. That is what we call it, the praying, and that is the hajjaj, or the food, or the desire, or the need in it. And that need is extremely and bitterly sarcastic or denounced or demolished by these monsters that say you don't need, and need is the beginning of the heartache, and that is something that their headaches don't like it, they don't want it. And again, that's where the love is. It is this light ecstasy or excitement or euphoria or adondini drunkenness or high happiness of godly groundness that the heavy gurus of silence this would hate to see. And thus they would call the Caucasus cup as opium for the high masses. And actually it is good to for the masses to become high, because again this is how you are receiving, you become high, or you become excited, or hijayun, like basically by saying Allahu Akbar, or Allahi Akbar, or the holiness is greater than sobriety. Then you are using, you become high, and then you don't need the high in those two ends of the heat as well as the mental bath. And instead of his warming up wine vordah with truthful taste of zanjabil, zanjavane, zanjavili ginger taste, they give soma steroid sex pills that Jungian psychology of the Scarlet Aruna sex pills has prescribed for sick Magog masses. Again, they take this opium or the Holy Quran, and instead they give the red pill or the LSD, as well as this somasteroid 6 pills has prescribed for the sick Magog masses, so that they can agnically ignite the reptilian cold bloods by the hot Shiva Sutantra or Tanidan that is going on in hippie acid bases or the hot bases of humming burning mans. It is this Islamic euphoria or the harjan or this ruh ravana rejoicement that has been the primordial purpose of writing our programs. Fulfillment of again, because this rejoicement, before we become rejoiced, God is rejoicing for getting us to remember, and as soon as that happens, again, the rejoicement of God makes us more rejoiceful, and then our rejoiceful makes God to basically intensify or magnify our rejoicement with his infinite amount of rejoicement. That has been the primordial purpose of writing our programs. Fulfillment of this primordial purpose by means of the Christian karma work of naturally smoke and uttering wordas of the prayers, and freely singing psalms, and thankfully reflecting and responding and mirroring back the lalia la'ala lala or lalabaya hing light lens will get us to return back like narnuring nightingales to that Nazareti tanur oven of a phoenix of the birdas. And so number one characteristic of those Rozahi spirits who have received distilling katiro, taqatir, qatrat or the qatran is that due to their close vicinity to the fiery furnace tanur or the barzakhi live charcoal or the solar scrying sphere of misbah, burning breast bosom salver tray of Sinai Sina Sana Sina Sinin, their talariai ego wings are burned. They don't have any wing, they cannot fly. Klinza or phoenix, and therefore their high wardas or the Sabayan spirits are trip smoking like sword Israeling centaurs or the Mantaqotair or the Tayaranas. That's where the throne later on comes, but here is we have the centaur or the tuar of the centaur is coming from Arabic or Persian root word of tayar, which means flying. But this is a different flying. This is not the flying with the egos, with Ida and Pingala. This is the flying that you do out of the joy and the excitement of exalting Allah and sending keys to Allah that is behind his salam screen. And so once you do that, then you that is the ultimate bliss for you. And so that is how they are like the centaurs, but in fact they don't have any wing. Why? Because the real wing belongs to the birdness. The birdness says that if you want to become a bird, first you have to let go of your wings. And the insecure ego can do anything but cannot bear with losing its Kundalini Yoga wings. or astrally diving and smudging in prostration, prayer mats, or the frankincense-sawing, or brisawing, or the fire flutahing like neck-broken nails, or the wingless nails, and Maya Marofiri pen pipe reeds, or the meaning galamoses of legacy long, or the legacy long, or the boiling olive oil tank.